Hello, welcome everyone. This is Amy with the Mystic Rose Tarot. So I'm holding here a deck that I received recently that was a unexpected pleasant surprise. And that's usually how it works when you're, kind of perusing through videos and online. And you come across a discussion or a review of a deck, and it just catches you. And this is one of these decks that came unexpectedly to me. It called out to me, and it's called, I'm going to do here, see here, it's called Heavenly Bodies Astrology. It's not really a tarot deck, it's an astrology deck. And as you can see in the title, there's a little guidebook, which is not really little. It's a really simple but wonderful guidebook that is hardback, and I'll show you that in a moment. Yes, I have plastic wrap. This is actually the slip cover for this particular deck. And I have 1, 2, 3. I have about 4 decks or 5 decks that I've kept the plastic wrap on, and it's going to probably be a little bit of a running joke. It's like, oh, she's the tarot reader that loves to keep the plastic wrap on her decks. I do that because to maintain the care of the deck itself, but I work with oils and creams, and I'm always having stuff on my hands, and I know oils, whether it's our natural oils or just essential oils, if you handle these decks for so long with those oils, they will start breaking down the ink and start leaving marks. So for the time being, the plastic is going to stay on, but you'll see the full color of the deck when I get to the box itself. So this is the slip cover. The keywords, it's created by Lily Ashwell. The keywords that she has here are learn, decode, and communicate. And we have some images from the deck itself. We see the packaging here. And it's a wonderfully designed deck. And the packaging is great. So this is the slip cover. And let's go right to the boxing itself, and then I will show you the book. The coloring, as I cross my hand here, the coloring of this deck is very pastel-y. It's, how can I best describe this? Because the lighting that I have here is just not doing justice. The lighting's very warm, so it's giving a warm hue to the packaging. It's a pale blue, pale gray color. We have on the spine, we have here on the spine, Lily Ashwell, Heavenly Bodies Astrology. Publisher is Seco Books, I believe. And then here's the back of it. It's a very ethereal book. The coloring here may look darker than what you're seeing, and it's actually more of a russet brown color. And then we have the 2 angels here. And it is a magnetic closure. Here, I'll show on the top part and also on the bottom. Oh, and I just noticed this right now, because I never look at the bottom of a tarot box, but there is some words here. And it's a quote. She does have quotes from from 18th century authors. I can't read it here because it's just so small, but she does make reference to particular authors, certain quotes, and she has them also in the box. The box is magnetic, and everything's very collagey. Lily Ashwell is an artist, and she got her training, I believe, at the London College of Art. Let's see how well this is going to focus. So you see what it says there, by Henry David Thoreau, 1845. And then here is the box itself. So it's wonderful. We have a box within a box. So for those who are very particular about how they want to have their tarot decks in boxes to be contained, you get, normally the tarot deck is there plain, but here we have a box for it. And it's as you probably heard, it's a very sturdy box. We have the ribbon. We have the innards, which you can lift out, and you can actually, the beauty with this is that we get the same in here. So this box can be utilized to put stuff in as well for your practice. So it's well thought, I'm sorry. And this you can recycle. This comes out. Oops. So I'm going to put this back here. Very simple. Okay, so now the box itself. Heavenly Bodies. Now the coloring of this, it may look a little bit more on the greenish side, depending on your screen, but this still maintains a very tinty color, very in the realm of gray. We have yellows here. We have the same kind of writing. And I love the script of this because it comes very traditional. It looks like something that you would find maybe in the 18th, 17th centuries. And we see here. And this is all illustrated by Lily. And I love it because she does put her creative touch to it. And we have more affirmations here. And I'll move right here so you could see. So she has quotes here. They're a bit excessive, I feel, but it's fine. This is her deck, and this is how these quotes influenced her and how they motivated her in creating this deck. So by all means, she can put in as much or as little as she wants of information regarding quotes. Before I get to the deck, I want to show you the guidebook. It's hardcover. I don't think you can hear this because I have my earpods on. It's hardcover. I like this. This is back to the eon ages of when we used to check out books. There was always a card and there'd be a slip, like a slip envelope, if you will, and the card would be there. And we would write down our name and the due date when the book would have to be returned. And the librarian would keep a copy of that. And we would have it stamped on the slip of paper on the book that would state when the book is due. So it was very interesting to see this. So we have another quote here by St. Augustine. And the detail is just wonderful. Very dreamy. So what's interesting here is when you see, when I get to the deck, when you look at the packaging, it's set up in such a way that it looks like it's a tarot deck. It has that spiritual feel. It's very ethereal, very dreamy. And so when I got this I was just like, God, this feels so much like a tarot deck. But it's not. It just has that nice spiritual, ethereal sense that we sometimes come across when getting a tarot deck. It's very light. It's very, I want to say dainty, but it's very, this deck overall is very sensitive. It has a very emotional, subconscious feel to it. So as I'm flipping here, here's a little bit of an introduction to Lily's background, her office in Venice, California. And then let me just, I don't want to give the entire thing away, but here we have the table of contents. And very brief, and this is, I've mentioned it a few times before. I love guidebooks that are like under 150 pages, and this is one of them. It's very simple. It's very basic. It goes through a little bit about understanding astrology, which we have here, the planets, signs of the zodiac, houses, major aspects, the natural elements of the zodiac and the nodes, how to work with the deck, the different energetic influences of the deck based by the planets, the signs, the houses, and the aspects. This has everything that I need as a tarot reader who's working with astrology. So that when I do a reading, I have another source a visual source for the person I'm doing a reading for that they can follow very easily. And so I'm halfway into this book. And as you can see, it's 2 pages. Mercury gives a basic overview of what Mercury is, the energy, and the experiences that you can have with these planetary influences. And as you know, the planetary influences will shape and direct the energy of the sign that it's in. And how you can read this and incorporate it into your practice. So it is color. We have two layouts here. Soul growth spread, third eye spread, card of the day, very basic. Like I said, this isn't a tarot deck, but you can incorporate some tarot spreads if you want. You may want to modify their meanings to fit with this deck. I haven't done any of these spreads yet, but yeah. And then we have the signs, the houses, which is this is perfect. I'm very happy. The aspects, conjunction, trine, so on and so forth. And then we have the back of the book here. This is actually a very bright pink. And then heaven through earth and spirit through body. Just it's wonderful. It's a wonderful book. So I'm not saying too much because when I get a deck, my focus is more on the energy of the deck. So visually, it's part of it, but it's one of these decks that you can, for me, I can feel very strongly connected with it. And being an empath, that's of importance. Okay, so the cards. Okay, I'm going to move this aside here. I don't know, my voice is cracking today. So yeah, you can utilize this box to put your tools in. Alrighty. So I'm going to have to hand hold this. I don't know if I'm going to do the entire deck. How are we going to focus? Okay. So we have the cutout to grip. I have long fingers, so this is actually very helpful. And again, we have from William Blake, as you can see here, a very vintage feel. That's the other word I was looking for. Ribbon, the belly band. And yes, I keep the belly band as well as the plastic wrap with my decks. It just holds the shape more and that they don't move around so much. Okay. And then here's our quote again, heaven through earth and spirit through body. And this is like a pale blue color. And then we have more. So as you can see, there's quite a few quotes from the authors. It's okay. I'm all here for the deck, and the quotes are part of the package. Okay. So there are, I believe it's 51 cards in this deck. The cardstock is very good, very strong, enough bend, but enough stiffness so it'll hold its shape, I feel, over time. And this is important because I have a feeling I'm going to be working with this deck quite a bit. So here we have our sun card, and we have the symbol here for sun. And then we have an explanation on the bottom of it, keywords, self-express, embody truth. Oh, and the back of the cards. Very simple. Nothing too fancy. But again, I'm not looking at the back of the cards. It's the information that's on the front. And here we have the moon. Satisfy emotional needs, nurture self and others. So we're going with the planets. And I got to move my thumb here. Oh, I want this to focus. I think the only way I could do this is getting up close. Oh, there we go. Venus. And all these are hand illustrated. I think the type is not Mars. Move forward and defend self. So as you're noticing the colors here, as I mentioned, to keep in line with the rest of the design of this deck, it's very soft, with the exception of Saturn. There's Saturn and I think one other card that goes on the darker hues. So it's best to have a deck like this in good lighting. And I have mixed directional lighting right now, so it's sort of showing the information the best that I can for this deck. But this is one of the darker cards. So if you're in low light, you know, it may be hard to read, but if you know the energy of that planet, it's totally fine. Here we got Jupiter. And this is more like a reddish color. Grow and expand. Uranus. The symbols are right here in the corner. They're very subtle. And I like how it's very simple. Keywords are lightly placed on the bottom here. They're not like written across. They're not bold. The way these cards are designed is so that you can focus on the imagery. And here we have Neptune. And you have to really look at these cards, not quickly, but for a few seconds, because you'll pick up little things like here, Neptune is dealing with the unknown, the mystery side of our inner self, dream and transcend. Neptune is associated with Pisces, so it's very dreamlike, and we can see the ripples here in the ocean, and like we're going into the deeper realm. You can see like a color shift to focus from going from the conscious realm to the deeper realm. Here we have Pluto. We have the butterfly, the transformation, and the skull. And I appreciate this style because I did go to art school myself, and the way that Lily designed this deck kind of reminds me of seeing some students that would do work somewhat similar to this. Very dreamlike. Here's Chiron. Okay, so that was our planets. Excuse me. Now our signs. Aries. Now, one thing to bear in mind is there is a color pattern that is associated with the signs. So with Aries, we have like a pinky reddish color, and also the symbol of the heart. Okay, so if you look here, the heart is with wings, and there's a candle on top. Focus that fiery creative energy. So we will see this symbol in the fire influenced signs. And the same with Taurus, the earth signs. We're going to see the heart, half of the heart is exposed. And we'll see roses coming up from this. I think this is a beautiful depiction of the sign of Taurus. Sorry, I keep cropping this off here. Truth, patience, and sensuality. So keywords are on all of these. So this will be the symbol that we will see to signify the earth signs. And then Gemini. Cancer. And here we go with Leo. There's call it our flaming heart, because these look like flames to me. And we also have candles here. Different representation of Leo, because Leo we usually see the symbol of the lion or the sun, but here we see the force through candlelight, through the flame. Virgo. And there's our heart there with the roses. We have angel wings here in the corner. Libra, air. So the color scheme for Libra is more, I would have done a little bit more yellow to represent the color of air, but here it's like a light blue color. Focus more, I guess, on the energy of the sky and above. We see the scales there. Scorpio. Water signs are more like a deeper, well, not deeper, but more of a purplish tinge. And there we have our skull and the butterfly on top, and we see the snake. This is another beautiful card from this deck, the representation. Then we have the moon, intensity, exposing, purging, and renewing. Sagittarius, and here's our other fire sign. Again, the coloring on this is more on the pinky side, which you probably won't see too much on your screen. We have our flaming heart, our symbol for the bow and arrow. Capricorn. The coloring here for the earth signs are like again, sort of like a reddish brown. It alters a little bit with some of the other earth signs here. And Capricorn's related to Saturn. Saturn's a planet of limitations and also of time. And we have the hourglass right there as a reminder. The stock of this is all matte. The entire packaging, right down to the cards, everything's a nice matte finish, as you can tell, because there's no reflection. And here we have Aquarius. Symbol's kind of faint for Aquarius, but it's right there. And we see the vessel with water coming out, sort of disappearing into the ether. We see the stars there, similar to the star in our major arcana, Pisces. Oops. And then we have our fish, 2 fishes. And then again, similar to Scorpio, we have the moon in the center. Intimacy, intuition, and compassion. And symbol there for Pisces. I enjoy this deck. Each time I go through it, I enjoy it more. So here we have our houses. We have the flame representing the sign that represents house 1, the first house, which is Aries. And then we have our keywords there on the bottom: individuality, self-image, and our approach or perspective to life. And the birds seem to be the key throughout some of the houses here. Here we have Taurus, our earth symbol, the meaning behind that. I'll just let you look at the cards and just kind of feel what's coming out from them. 3rd house. For Cancer, house of 4th house, moon, family. Creativity. Like I said, I haven't gotten into the book to the end yet, so I like to read more about the symbology of the birds. I mean, the birds are messengers, and we see them in different forms throughout the houses. Here we have a wing. It's like a dismembered wing. This is our 6th house, ruled by the sign of Virgo. Health, daily life, practical details, how we do our routines. And again, representing Earth. Relationships, Libra. Then our Scorpio, transformation, karma, facing fears and legacy. It's interesting because we start seeing from the 1st house to the 8th house the different stages of the bird. Here we see it completely in its skeletal form. And in the 1st house, we saw it as a young bird. And here we see the releasing of this energy. Here's the house, the 9th house. It's like here we see the spiritual form of these birds, of these messengers, spiritual growth. And then we have the wise owl. It's like you become reincarnated. Structure, discipline, life mission, accomplishments, and career. Okay, we're almost at the end of our houses. Here's the 11th house. Aquarius, friends, like-minded groups. And then House of Secrets, spirituality, sacrificial service and healing, karma. This house is ruled by Pisces. Interesting, we have the shell, we have the feather, we have the open cage here. And this looks like a little bit of the body of a fish. We don't see it fully. This looks like the fins, but it looks like it's transcending out of the scene. Very desolate. It's almost like the remnants, what was left behind of the journey from the first house to the 12th. Well done, Lily. Well done. So here, we have the transits, the conjunction, which I'm still not fully focusing on, but I think having this deck will help me learn and incorporate this more with my practice. So we have the direction of the conjunction. And this is also explained in the book. Opposition, 180 degrees. I believe this was 90. Colors are very bright here. Imbalance. So we're seeing the tension, the opposition energy. And here we have the symbol for opposition right here. Let's see right there. There we go. Trine. Harmony, perfect flow. 120 degrees, which we have right here. And the square, or challenges. Oh, this is 90 degrees. Okay. So the colors that we're seeing with these aspects are obviously fitting with the energy and the mood. Like here, the trine, a little bit more harmonious colors. The square, a little bit more darker. Having to focus more on the darker side, perhaps, of what's going on. That's our square. Sextile, 60 degrees. Combination of tension and flow, potential and a rewarding situation. And I like how she has the lines going through. They're like a grid pattern. It's very faint, as we see here as I go back. And we see how it's building, moves in and out. And we have the sextiles. Okay, now we have our elements. Okay, so remember, as I was saying, astrologically, our signs, they have the different energies and elemental influence. So here we have Earth, and we have our signs there representing the signs of the element of Earth. And so we see the symbology in a larger way, and its relationship, persistence, patience, and practicality, which represents qualities of each of the earth signs. And we have the elemental symbol there. Air. And we see the coloring in relation to the element. So the symbol is all set up in the upper right-hand corner. The elements of air, or the signs of air, open-mindedness, objectivity, and learning. Here the landscape is mountain. High above, like the higher plateau of the mountains. And then we have fire. Again, the fire signs, the symbols are right here. Confidence, optimism, passion, and bravery. And then water. Water is a little bit more in the darker color scheme of things, because we're going into those areas of who we are, which are unexplored, and trying to understand motion, intuition, compassion, spirituality. And then we have yin yang. So we see the feminine and masculine energies of our signs. Yin is feminine. So we see those influences in Taurus, Cancer, Virgo, Scorpio, Capricorn, and Pisces. I'm going to move this way so you could see the detail. Then our fiery influence, masculine energy, yang. Proactivity, expression, doing, forward motion. Everything's moving upward, and it's interesting here, the moon is now at the base. It's moved down to the subconscious, and our sun is up, and here we have the opposite. We have the moon facing upwards, and then our sun's in the bottom. And the color again is darker for receptivity, and then for expelling, releasing this energy. And then we have, yes, we're down to our last four, cardinal signs. Again, lit by the flame. We have an elemental influence to represent cardinal, which I haven't seen before, to represent that. Our fixed sign with the square and a line in the middle, and I love the hand. Stability, persistence, loyalty, and dependability. Our cardinal is instigation, bravery, and a pioneering spirit. Mutable. Surrender, fluidity, welcoming change. And then we have our nodes, north and south nodes. Destined to have. And our south node will be the opposing sign. So if you are north node, let's say in Aquarius, your south node would be the opposing sign of Aquarius, which is Leo. So when you're doing a reading with this deck, you want to focus on the energy of the nodes. You can pull out that card of Leo, and for the north node, and then have the south node as Aquarius, or vice versa. destined to release. And we have the symbol up here. And so the north and south nodes are represented as the dragon. The north node is the upper part of the body, from the chest up to the dragon head. And then the tail, just kind of faint here. The rest of the dragon just sort of disappears and goes into a different realm. But here we start seeing the energy, the base energy of the dragon. That's like what we need to release. So again, as I mentioned, I have to finish going through this book to get an overview of Lily's view on creating this deck and the imagery, if she does discuss the imagery in relation to the signs and the nodes and the elements. But overall, this is just a wonderful deck. I'm very happy to have this, and I will be working with this deck quite a bit. Hopefully not too much that I need to get another version of this in about a year, but this will definitely be a very important deck for my practice. And visually, this is very helpful too. You know, as I mentioned earlier, that when doing readings, if I'm going to be incorporating astrology with the tarot, and I'm speaking astrological signs, planets, and houses, I can have my tarot reading and I can explain this card. I can explain this card in relation to a sign or the characteristics that are related to this kind of energy with the tarot. And the houses, of course, as well. I mean, I can do a full astrology reading with this deck, and I'm really happy. I can't say enough about this deck. So that's Heavenly Bodies Astrology by Lily Ashwell. I'll show you the box here again. Wonderful design packaging. Again, this is not a tarot deck. We're starting to see a few creators, which is wonderful, to create decks that are specifically astrologically oriented. There's some that go into greater details with Lilith and Vesta and some of the other gods and goddesses that are affluent with astrology that this deck doesn't cover. And I love the way this is designed. There are some decks that are they're very straightforward. Here's the symbol of the planet. There's the keyword. And it tends to be dressed up a little bit more with gold foiling and whatnot. And I think if you're going to be really working with these decks, I won't really be paying much attention to the foiling and whatnot because I don't think it's going to last very long. But with a deck like this, the imagery is just very simple but very strong. And the keywords are just very light. You know, I could just focus exclusively on just this. And so they go into the background and they don't stand out boldly. So it works out very well. This deck is very balanced for doing this kind of work with astrology. So I am very pleased with this deck. And if you have any questions about it, feel free to leave in the comments. If you have already been working with this deck, of course, you can let me know. the experience that you're having. If you're feeling similar to the way I'm feeling so far by having this deck, this is going to be exciting to work with this on its own. And also, as I've been looking at this deck, I'm seeing some decks that I think will work very good just visually. I have the Lamina Tarot, which I work with quite a bit. And I just want to show there's a similar vibrancy that goes with this. This is the Lamina Tarot. The Lamina Tarot is a very natural deck. It is connected, I feel, to the cosmos, but also to the earth as well. And just the whole design of the Lamina Tarot, that was the first deck that came into my mind when seeing this deck, the Heavenly Bodies. I was thinking, what deck can I work with, or what decks can I work with? So the Lamina Tarot would be one, and quite possibly the Dreams of Gaia. And I'm pausing right now because I'm looking at my decks right now that I have. This is the Dreams of Gaia. And let me see here. What would be maybe Chiron? I don't know. There's something very similar energy-wise that I feel these two work together. They can play off of each other's energy. So I have to explore that a little bit more. But I do want to work with decks that will give some nice insight and connection to the Heavenly Bodies Astrology deck here. So that's it. I'm going to end here. I hope you have some questions and some interest in this deck. I will be doing readings with this soon. I don't really want to start doing readings right off the bat right now. I really want to connect more with all these cards and find my own direction as to working with this deck, especially with the tarot, since I'm going to be combining the tarot with this deck. So have a wonderful week, everyone. Any questions, of course, feel free to ask. This will probably be my last review for quite some time, because I feel like I said this about a year ago. I feel like I have all the decks that I needed right now, but this is unique. Astrology decks aren't plentiful, and to come across a deck that is of this kind of uniqueness, I feel, was something that I just had to jump on. So you can order this deck through Amazon, Barnes & Noble. Of course, if you can go to Lily Ashwell's website and order directly from her, that would be, of course, the best cause, because the creator gets some money directly. But you purchase whatever works for you, whatever is convenient. I will put the link in the description to her website. And yeah, let me know how you feel about this deck. Okay. Have a wonderful day, evening, everyone. This is Amy, Mystic Rose Tarot, signing off. Thank you for watching.